Hello everybody. It seems that we are live. So let me if you welcome to this webinar. I've called it Google Ads Crisis Mode, Effective Ad Management during the COVID-19 crisis. It's great to jump on this call, and the reason why I wanted to do this is many of you have reached out over the last couple of weeks asking help with stuff in their account. So I wanted to take the time, instead of answering a lot of these questions one-on-one, to jump on a live call like this and give you a chance to ask some questions. So if you're in the chat, say hi. I see Scott has already joined us. Hey Scott. So I have prepared a little bit of material of things that I've seen in accounts that I manage. Things that I think are important to have a look at in your account as well. Might be your experiences might be the same, or they might be totally different. But I've seen a couple of common issues. So so with that said, hey, we have Twetna as well in the chat. So hey, welcome to the Facebook Live. It's also maybe a technical thing. It's my first Facebook Live, and there's a lot of new tech involved. So if something goes wrong, just please bear with me. I hope we get through without any problems. So basically, my goals for today are to help you if you're working for an e-commerce store or run your own e-commerce store or working with clients. It's helping you to know how to proceed with your Google Ads campaigns, right? Because in going from fear and uncertainty to having a game plan, because nobody knows what's coming next week, next month, how it's going to evolve, if there's going to be more strict measures in the country where you're living, or if they're going to be if it's going to be relieved and the economy will start up again, or do we go to a recession? All of these questions, like, nobody really has an answer to that. But what I'm going to try and do in this call is try and show you a little bit of my thinking about it. Even though we don't know where we're going exactly, like what things we can keep a track of and how we can adjust our campaigns and our approach because of it. So our agenda. So first, quick heartbeat, telling you a little bit of why I did this call, what I'm seeing in the marketplace. A quick overview. Then I'm going to look at your numbers. In this section, it's really about, instead of taking the industry, believing the industry articles, we're going to look at our own campaigns and taking a look at what metrics to look at and how to dig deeper into them. Then I'm going to share with you my game plan, like what I've been doing the last couple of weeks with my clients' accounts and what I'm going to keep doing. And then I have time for some Q&A. So there's been a couple of questions that came in over email already, but for those of you following in the chat, just put your questions as a comment, and then I'll get to it at the end, or if it makes sense, I'll take it in between the different things. Also, if something is unclear or I don't pronounce it right, or any doubts, also just put it in the comments. A quick look at what really has changed. First off, there's been a huge shift in behavior, right? People working from home, spending a lot more time with their family, spending a lot of time indoors, juggling their household with their work. Maybe if they run their own business, maybe they had to close their own business. That has had a lot of ripple effects throughout the economy. So it's clear that also has had a huge shift in buying behavior. Biggest thing or the biggest downside to that have been budget cuts. People that have scheduled to buy something are just like not buying it right now. A second related thing to that are purchase delays. If there's a lot of uncertainty, people rather keep their money in their bank accounts rather than spend it and need it to buy food, let's say a couple months down the road. This is really related to uncertainty. There's also a ton of new, not new categories, but categories that have really emerged and have started to do well. I've included, I will share that link with you right now. Look for it. I will include some links that I found really helpful that talk about industry trends of which categories are doing well and which aren't. So let me put that in the chat. So yeah, the link that I just shared, it's kind of doesn't have a lot of content right now, but I will make sure to expand it and add a ton of more information and more details to what we discussed here. So with these new categories, things like a friend of mine sells ping pong tables. Ping pong table sales have gone through the roof. For example, other categories, people are spending more on cooking, being inside. Another client of mine, they sell basically board games. That's also going really well. Also the shift of offline to online. I'm from Belgium, and there's a lot of shops that have been forced to close. So there's actually a lot of opportunity of people buying, for example, hardware stores are closed. So how do you buy like cement or plaster for your walls or something? So a lot of purchases that were still a lot offline are moving online, and there might be a lot of staying power for those. So if you're in an industry that's selling one of those, it might not be like a spike in revenue, but there might be like a shift there as well. Right. Okay, so what has been the impact on e-commerce? I've shared on a few of the things that have changed. So different industries have had different impact. As I said, I have a client selling board games who's doing really great business. I have another client who sells actually to manufacturers. It's more of a B2B e-commerce site. They've been cut really hard. Most of their clients have actually closed up or put business on hold. So the number of orders that are coming in has really dried up as well. So they basically gone home as well and laid off a lot of the staff. Hey Sarah, Sarah's joining us in the chat. There's also been new problems in this new situation. Most of all related to cash flow. I did a survey and I had a lot of people telling me that they had to pause work with contractors, development on their website, personnel make personnel cuts, lay people off. Also in fulfillment, because of the more strict rules and also safety guidelines of maintaining more distance, fulfillment has become a lot more difficult. Usually, very often it takes the form of reduced staff in a fulfillment location. So orders are going out at a slower pace. Related to that, logistics, a lot of people are sending out, so the number of the volume of orders has increased dramatically, so that has also delayed a lot of orders. Again, putting a lot of strain on customer service departments that might be already understaffed. So it's in facing these challenging problems and dealing with it in your own way, right? It could be that your cash flow for now is good, but that you're hurting because of the other points. But with new problems are also new opportunities. I don't want to make this a downer fest. I'm all for optimism. So these new opportunities are the emerging categories, right? So maybe you're not selling explicitly one of these categories that I've also linked to in the post, but it could be that you, for example, put a new twist on the products that you're selling. For example, I'm selling space posters, so posters to put on your walls. I'm running a promo where people are spending more time in their home office. They might not have spent a lot of time in their home office, or it might be kind of bare. So I'm kind of messaging like, okay, grab 10% off to decorate your home office. It hasn't been like a stellar change or something, but it's a nice little extra or spin that if people come onto your website, that kind of uses the current situation in a positive way. A second is also a different connection to customers, right? The fact that we're here hosting this live call probably might have happened if we weren't in lockdown, but it might have not been. I probably would have postponed it. But you see these live things pop up all over the place. You see a lot more video being used of businesses trying to connect with their customers in a different way. Last week, I ran a survey to our email list to see how everyone was doing. These are all e-commerce owners, about 60% of them. So to put this into perspective, most of these businesses, they're doing between, let's say 6 and 7. Well, let's say between 5 and 7 figures. I know that's a huge gap, but 5 to 7 figures a year in turnover. So 60% of those, they were struggling. They were already feeling some problems. About 30% were doing okay for now, but as we all face more uncertainty, it's unclear what's going to happen. And 10% were actually thriving and doing better business than before, which is really interesting as well. Maybe a quick background for those of you joining that don't know me. My name is Dennis Moons. So I'm the founder of Store Growers, and you probably know me best from writing a lot of articles. I know a lot of you have found me that way, mostly on Google Ads. I've got about 10 years of experience managing Google Ads campaigns. And today I'm actually a Google Ads strategist and coach, and I exclusively focus on e-commerce. I'm also the author of 2 courses on Google Ads. One is called Google Shopping Success, and then the newer one is Search Ad Success. So through all of those things, through helping a lot of students with the courses and managing campaigns for clients, I got a pretty good view on what's going on across industries as well. So yeah, that's my goal here is to take some of that knowledge and give it to you. I see Vera has also joined us. Hello, Vera. Welcome. So in this first part, or in this second part, I want to look at your numbers. So basically, why this is important, rather than me jumping into the learnings or the things that I've seen in my accounts, I want you to do this exercise for you first. So there's it doesn't make sense to jump in straight away and give you tactics if you're not suffering from these problems. So that's why it's important to do this yourself. First up is basically an overview. So actually I've created a worksheet to go with this first part on getting all of your data. It's available in the link that I shared. I will share him again in the chat. Link to the worksheet. That up. Yeah, so there you can download a worksheet that will help you put in some of these numbers. So basically, what I've done here is I've put up the total number of sessions, transactions, conversion rate, revenue, and average order value. So this is for all of the orders of this store. So it doesn't matter if they came from Google Ads or not. And then kind of put this into perspective. So you can see March 19, April 2019, and then February last month or 2 months ago, March 2020, and then April 2020. And you can put in your numbers and see here like where the biggest trends are. So let me quickly shift to the actual spreadsheet. Okay, so here, this is the place where you put in all of your information. It looks a bit weird because I removed all of the information, but here I kept a sample. You can see up top, this is for Google Ads. And then below, there's actually, it's focused solely on Google Ads. So you'll see that I've included the column spend and also a column for CPA and ROAS. These are specific terms or specific metrics to Google Ads. So I did this on a monthly basis, but you could do the same for to look at the results on a week-to-week basis. So here it really depends like how granular you get with this kind of report, is how much sales you're doing. So here for this retailer, they are doing currently about 250 or 400 in this case a month. So there it makes sense to kind of look at the data a bit more closely and do this week over week, right? So I've created here a sheet, and you can just change these months to weeks to, again, week over week, see what has changed. So for this particular retailer, if we look at the results from March, we can see MOM is month over month. So compared to the month before, we've seen more traffic, more transactions, better conversion rate, higher average order value, and those all have led to a serious increase in return on ad spend. So here for this retailer, we're always trying to be at around 3.5, somewhere there. So for us to do 7, it's a very good result, and it shows that there's a lot more room to maybe advertise certain products stronger. If we compare year over year to make sure it's not like a seasonal trend, we can also see that the return on ad spend is up, the revenue is up significantly, and the number of transactions is also up. So for most of you, as I've shown you, this is happening in 10% of the cases where it's going really well. In most cases, it's going to be the opposite, and you're going to try to figure out where things are actually going wrong, right? So that's where it starts, with the overview, for you to just get a feeling for what's happening. Next, to really find, instead of looking at the aggregate data, like it's hard. For example, you see that your session or your revenue went up. Okay, what are you gonna do with that information? It's very hard to take actionable measures based on that. So for that, we take a look at the 3 levers of any e-commerce business, which are the number of sessions or visitors, your conversion rate, and then the average order value, right? And when it comes to Google Ads, it's mainly in the sessions part that we can have the biggest impact. So for that, you need to dig deeper into your campaigns and take a look at impressions, click-through rate, cost per click, total ad spend, impression share, and you want to do this for all of your different campaigns. You might want to do this for your different campaign types to see maybe, for example, oh, my shopping campaigns, they're actually performing quite the same, but the CPC has gone down, for example. Or, oh, I'm running display campaigns, and actually the number of impressions has gone way up, but my click-through rate has gone down. So that's why always segment your campaigns to find out like the different parts where it's working or not. So campaign types, you can segment just by campaigns, by categories. I have some clients that where certain categories have gone up significantly and others have gone down even more significantly. So the results actually, it looks kind of flat, but then when you dig down, it's clear that that's not what's happening. So we actually had to adjust spend quite a lot. If you're advertising in multiple countries, also segment based on that. A lot of countries have had a different response to to this crisis. And there's also been a delay in responses. So if you're running a store in China or Europe or UK or the US or South America, you're gonna have a very different customer behavior. The way customers are acting right now, for example, in Australia, is gonna be very different to how they're acting right now in China. Also looking at your bestsellers, best-selling campaigns, it's also very valuable. Yeah, for example, here I've taken a screenshot of a number of campaigns for an account, and here I would just, right now it's sorted on the amount of clicks, but I would start going through it and actually comparing, like opening up a campaign and taking a look at number of conversions. So here we see that there's plenty of conversions. We actually take a look back and see how is the impression share changed, how has the conversion value changed, yeah, the cost per click, how have all of these things changed. You can compare it straight. This is a report from Google Ads, and make this comparison in Google Ads as well. And that's going to be easier. Like the report that I screenshotted here, it's kind of static. So if you enable the comparison, it will be more valuable to see things. Like here, especially looking at the search impression share. For example, here we have a campaign that is doing quite well, right? And it only has 50% impression share. So that's probably maybe that's an opportunity to invest even more. Okay, no, I didn't need to change. All right. So second part, so the sessions are all about are we driving the same amount of traffic than we were doing before, and has the cost changed of that traffic? That's the only thing we care about at that point. Second part is as soon as they come onto the website, it's of course the conversion rate, how many people actually buy. Because it could be that actually not much has changed. Maybe the price has gone down, maybe the price has gone up a little bit for the traffic, but all of the rest is kind of the same than before. But once they're on the website, you see that actually they don't convert as well. So it might be a lot of window shoppers. People might not even be adding stuff to their cart. But you wouldn't know that if you just focus on the overall conversion rate and the number of transactions. It's kind of hard to make any changes. So we see like, okay, conversion rate has gone down 50%. Where do we start? Well, you can do that by mapping out your funnel. Mapping out your funnel means taking all of the different steps and working backwards. So you have your purchase. So what comes before? Here I actually put it in the other way. So let's go that way. So people visit your website, and then in order to buy, they have to view a product. They have to add that product to their cart. They have to start to check out, and then they actually purchase. But with every step of the way, they can actually drop out. And very often you see these numbers being very consistent, right? A certain percentage of the people that actually add stuff to the cart will actually make a purchase. But now comparing those numbers over time, you can actually start to see whether there's clear trends. If people are postponing their purchases, or if they're just like, as I said, drive-by visitors, window shoppers. How to get this information out of the box? If you're on a platform like Shopify, they will give you that information straight away. If you have a Google Analytics account and you have enhanced e-commerce enabled there and configured, it needs to be configured in your account, you can also see those different steps, which is really helpful because you can also segment them based on the traffic. Yeah, and check out. Then when it comes to average order value, I want to keep this on topic. There's a ton of things you can do, but actually to influence that with Google Ads is less straightforward because you're quite removed from that. You can drive traffic towards more expensive products to get this value up, but yeah, overall the impact of Google Ads on this is fairly limited. But it's worth looking closer at, are people buying cheaper versions of products? Are they maybe buying lower quantities or not replenishing as often? Is this the same across categories? Again, these are some starters. I didn't include a ton of information here because I think it's, as I said, less relevant for the Google Ads part. So yeah, what is my game plan? A lot of people have asked me for it. So before I give that, I want to share the common issues that I found in my campaigns and that are also part of my game plan. So a couple of common issues is in generic paid search. Usually those are the campaigns that are hardest to make work from a return, from a profit perspective. So they're the ones that you have to monitor most closely. And another interesting issue that appeared here might be that the intent might be different. So a keyword from before the crisis to now, that the intent might have changed, which could have had an impact on actually performance. Second is that I've seen a lot of new keywords pop up because people are searching. There are unique times, so people are searching for different types of things. So it's interesting. So both of these mean the intent changing means looking at your existing campaigns and looking at shifts in buying behavior. And the new keywords means monitoring your search terms report. Second is generic shopping campaigns. Again, there I've seen changing volumes depending on the products. So it could be that suddenly your product is included in a very popular search or for a very popular keyword without your product being valuable there, or maybe your product is valuable there and you're making sales. So again, this is an important thing. Keep an eye on your search terms report. Smart shopping campaigns, I'm not a big fan of them, and I've been proven right again. So for one client, I've been running a smart shopping campaign for a while, and we hadn't touched the campaign for over a month. And then suddenly, they're a client based in the US. Suddenly, when the coronavirus news hit around the 14th, 15th, we saw a huge spike in traffic. And with that, we also saw a huge decrease in CPC. That usually means that the display network has been activated. So all of a sudden, the products were showing up on display network. And I've been thinking about it, like what was happening here. And because the smart shopping campaigns are so not transparent, it's hard to know what was going on here. But so take another look at your smart shopping campaigns to see if you've seen a lot of volume changes or cost changes. Fourth is remarketing campaigns. I had a couple of clients where we were doing quite high up the funnel remarketing, for example, with people that had interacted with their YouTube channel. They are pretty far away from converting, and actually we saw the return that we're usually getting actually dry up. So with these type of campaigns, you kind of know that you're investing to make back the money later, but here it's gotten a bit uncertain. So we actually scaled the campaign down. It's not on pause, but we scaled it down to make sure to wait to see if we still get that return from investing in today, get that return in a couple of weeks or a month's worth of time. Fifth is the YouTube campaigns. Same thing. The campaigns that we were running, they require a return on ad spend, a certain return on ad spend, but that attribution or the actual sales that come from somebody that sees an ad today, those sales might come a couple of weeks further down the line. So it's tough to know, or it's always a difficult call to make to keep it running or not. How aggressive to go really. And then lastly, campaigns using bid automation. So for example, if you are running a target ROAS, target return on ad spend bid strategy, so that means that you give Google, let's say, a 200% target, which means that for every euro you invest in your campaign, you want to make €2 back in revenue. So those campaigns that are automated on that, as soon as there are changes in click volume or impression volume, these campaigns take some time to catch up with it. And as we've seen week over week changes. We had like a very bad week, a bad week, and now we've seen the last couple of weeks have been actually good weeks where we've seen the performance return to normal. It's not always easy for a platform like that to deal with that. So with that all said, I want to share you my quickest campaign optimization tip, and that is always adjust the budget or the cost per click, right? If things are going well, you increase both or one of them and see how that affects things. If things aren't going well, you decrease it. And to me, going through your campaigns with this tactic in mind gives you the quickest turnaround. So here, actually, I've come up with 4 different buckets of campaigns or ad groups. And my idea with this is that you go through your account and put each campaign into one of these buckets, and then go back and revisit all of your campaigns and do the things we will discuss later in more detail. So campaigns that are bleeding cash, you put them on hold. You pause them and you go through the rest of the campaigns, and then you come back to them and investigate why they are bleeding cash. What is wrong? If a campaign has a lowered performance, so maybe you're not quite hitting the margin that you want, maybe you reduce the cost to limit its impact. Maybe that's reducing the budget, overall budget, or reducing the CPC a little bit to also take the cost down. If campaigns are performing the same, well, no action needed. Save your energy for the ones that do. If you see campaigns that actually are doing well, you might want to boost them, and you want to increase spend to maximize the opportunity again. There might be a lot of different things you can do, more tweaked and might not necessarily cost money. But if you want to have a quick change, just allocate more money. That's it. Which is the quickest way, but also the most expensive way. So let's take a look at less expensive things. So what else should you be doing? I don't have like a crazy tactic or a crazy thing you should try during this crisis. My advice is to revisit the basics, to make sure, like, if things usually if everybody's doing, if you're working hard and you're just barely breaking even, as soon as things get more complex, people are buying less or the cost goes up, a lot of people will be suffering from that. So if you were just breaking even, probably you're going to be losing money right now. So by revisiting the basics and doing all of the underlying things right, you can actually get that better performance, right? Take out some of that money that's being wasted in your account. So that's, to me, that starts with the review of your settings. A lot of these things basically look like maintenance. These are things that you should be doing regularly, monthly, quarterly in your account, to make sure that everything is still working as it's supposed to be. So go through the settings of your account. Make sure no networks are turned on that shouldn't be. If you have like ad auto suggestions turned on or off, run through the settings. These are like, this is the easiest things. This is usually switching stuff on or off. Look at the location targeting. Is that still what you need it to be? Second is account structure. For those of you watching that have taken the courses, this is the thing that you will hear me talk most about, and it's the most boring subject. So people, I've talked about this in public before, and people, I see people's eyes glaze over, and it's boring, but it's the thing that underlies the most successful accounts. It's a good account structure. What I mean by that is that you can, if it's in shopping, that you know which products you are pushing forward the hardest for which search queries at which bids. If we're talking about search ads, it's taking a look at which queries are you targeting, taking a look at the correct match types, having the right number of keywords in an ad group, having a good ad connected to that. All of these basic things, but very valuable to look at. The third one is bidding. Have a look at your bidding strategy first, and then have a look if you're doing like manual or enhanced CPC bidding. Go through your account, make sure that there's no, for example, you have a certain ad group maximum bid, but then the individual keyword is a lot higher, or an individual product suddenly has a CPC, a max CPC that's way too high. So have a look at that. Fourth important one, if you're doing search campaigns, have a look at keywords and have a look at the match types of those keywords. If you were doing SKAGs or single keyword ad groups, which has been a basic strategy or bread and butter strategy of many advertisers for the last couple of years, revisit that. Have a look at intent-based ad groups. You can find more information on that on our blog or in one of our courses. It's time to if you have some time right now, it's time to revisit that and build out your account so it's ready when you're making a lot of sales again. Again, I mentioned it a couple of times in this presentation already. Your search terms report is super important. There have been a lot of shifts in new queries coming up, or a lot of volume on certain queries. So have a look at that search terms report. Go through it, eliminate everything that isn't supposed to be there. Work on maybe expanding the structure, adding more ad groups, etc. Ads, yeah. So the last couple of years, the way ads work in Google Ads has changed. So instead of you creating an ad that people will see one-on-one, your job now is basically to feed new assets to Google for the responsive search ads. So if you haven't done that, or it's been a while since you've done that, revisit those ads, add some more copy, spend some time, set aside an hour, half an hour to brainstorm some good ad ideas that you can put into your account. You can use it like if you spend some time once, you can use it across different campaigns and ad groups. So it's well worth the time. Next is having a look at ad extensions. So if your campaigns have been running for a while, taking a look at the ad extensions that you have, maybe adding some new ones. I see it all the time, structured snippets, extensions, adding enough site links, for example, making sure that the extended site links or that the site links have a description. Those are all things that during setup you might skip over and not revisit, but this can be a time to revisit them and really reap the benefits that they offer. So each of those things that I've mentioned until now might only offer like a couple percentage points improvements, but adding them all together can maybe get you that 10-20% that you were missing before. Another part is audience building. So audiences have become so important in the last couple of years. So having a look at which audiences you have, having a look at dynamic remarketing, those things can be really make a difference. If you add them to your campaigns. Second, or another new thing, or another thing besides revisiting the basics, are to explore new things, right? Have a look at your product feed review for your shopping campaigns. Explore new tools. If you've been thinking about using a new, ad management tool or data feed management tool, set up a trial and have a look. Maybe you want to start using Google Ads scripts. Test this. This is a time when you might have some more time than usual to work on this, or if you're managing campaigns for clients when the day-to-day operations might be a little bit less, and you might have some time to try new things with them, and also tell them that you're doing new things using this downtime and still show your worth. As I said, you can look at making sure that you have the dynamic remarketing code installed. This can be really valuable, but I know a ton of shops that have problems with this. It can be technically quite cumbersome to get this right, but once it's right, you can rely on it for the future. Another thing is to evaluate your funnels. This is related to that. Take a look at the different audiences and the different kinds of remarketing that you're doing. So maybe you can go further up the funnel or add a couple of new remarketing campaigns that you weren't doing before. You can also create these things. You can create these things and put them on hold. Don't spend any money on them, but have them ready to go when your industry or your store picks up again. Another interesting setup that you can do is the Google Analytics Enhanced E-commerce setup. If you're on a platform like Shopify, that's just a tick of a box and it's done. On other platforms, it can be a real headache to set this up. This is almost like dynamic remarketing, but have a look. It can produce the funnel reports that I was mentioning earlier. Okay, these were all pretty generic. I could have basically had any title related to about Google Ads. These are things that you should pay attention to, but even more strongly now than ever. But let's take a look at some of the specific things you can do these days. One is to address new concerns in your ads, right? Things like what the delivery looks like, if it's later, if it's quicker. One of the things that I saw popping up, people wondering, is my package virus free, or what are you doing to make sure it is? You can see how Amazon is doing in your category. So many of us have been outcompeted in certain areas by Amazon, but Amazon is actually running into or prioritizing shipping for essential items. So if you're selling on Amazon, or for people that are selling on Amazon, if you're not in that essentials category, the shipping might be severely delayed. So maybe this is a time when you steal back some of those sales back to Amazon. You can address this in your copy. Another thing is I see a lot of brands and a lot of companies contributing, rallying their customers or their members or community to give to certain healthcare organizations around healthcare workers, food banks, helping out in any way. So if you are doing this, it's not sleazy to communicate about this. Customers are open to this. Just make sure you do it in an ethical way. I have a few interesting images as well. So this is one I came across the other day. So this is now a delivery app in China where it will actually show you the location of your of the person that's delivering your food, and it will also show you their body temperature, right? So imagine this this concept, but taking it in the ads. So for me, this is what I was saying earlier, like addressing new concerns or new opportunities. Is your home office looking a little bare? Get 10% off your first poster purchase. This is like a pop-up that I created. It took me 5 minutes to put together, and it kind of, as I said, it kind of addresses things in the moment. Another thing here, this is actually a company that is contributing. So they contributed about 44,000 euro, but I don't know who this company is. I've never actually heard from them. They showed up in my Facebook feed, so it's kind of like a speaker company, I think, but it's unclear. So if you do this, advertise this maybe to past customers, or use it in a way that I understand what they sell, right? So that's important. All right. Another thing is to think beyond Google Ads, right? I've been talking about Google Ads a lot, but many of the problems that you're facing or the challenges are further than Google Ads. So this can be exploring new apps, new tools that aren't Google Ads related. Maybe it's looking at ways to upsell or cross-sell existing customers. Maybe it's a referral program or loyalty program. I don't know. Thinking about content, Have you been doing anything with content? Maybe this is an opportunity to shift some of the money that you're saving on ads, shift that towards content, so that when things pick up again, you're a little bit better in that regard. Explore quizzes. This is something that I'm actively working on with a client. To use this as kind of like a lead generation, because sales are a little bit lower, but the site still gets loads of traffic. So we're thinking of capturing a lot of these visitors through email and then upselling them. So as I said, email marketing, a very important channel, but still one that too few companies are using. So what does this look like? Making sure you have the email capture, having a good offer in exchange for the email address, whether that's a discount or a contest that you're running, something like that. Put in multiple email automation flows. The most important one is post-purchase follow-up. It helps to reactivate existing buyers. So, questions. I haven't seen any new questions coming to the chat. I have about, I think, 3 or 4 questions prepared. So if you have any questions about any of the things that I talked about or any of the things that I did not talk about, please feel free to check them in the chat. All right. So this has been the most common one. My profitability has tanked. What should I do? This profitability ranges from all the way to now I'm not as profitable anymore, or now I'm actually losing money. So again, dig deeper. Instead of looking at it for your whole account or for all of your campaigns, segment your different campaigns into the groups. I showed you group 1, bleeding cash, put them on hold while you investigate. Second is lower performance, reduce cost to limit impact. Second, same, well, you don't need to do any action. Or third, boost the ones, or boost, okay? So you divide your campaigns up in those 3 things. Depending on how well your campaigns are performing, maybe you only have 1 campaign, and that's like pulling down the performance of your whole account. Just put that on pause while you further investigate. But it's rather than saying like, oh, I'm stopping all advertising because it's not working anymore, it's just maybe pause it for now if you're losing too much money, but then like go through your each campaign specifically to figure out whether you should still be running this or not. As I said, pause poorly performing campaigns straight away and then spend your time on those that are on the edge of profitability, right? If you're barely breaking even or still losing money, that's like valuable work right there. A second question that I often got is about remarketing. Is it still interesting to be running remarketing campaigns? It really depends. I have some clients where actually the remarketing campaigns are doing better. My instinct for that is that people in this particular audience are spending a lot more time online, so they are seeing a lot more of our remarketing campaigns, of our assets, and are coming back to buy that way. I have others where we actually had to pause them because it didn't make sense anymore. Again, if you have multiple remarketing campaigns, it makes sense to move backwards from the point of purchase, because the people closest to the purchase are going to be the easiest to convince, right? So they're going to be the most profitable campaigns that you run. So people that have started checkout, afterwards the people that have added stuff to their cart, afterwards the people that have viewed the product, after the people that have visited the website, then the people that have interacted with one of your YouTube videos. Moving backwards, so keeping the first ones, but then as soon as you hit unprofitable stuff, like start pausing them, because probably for now, as long as nothing happens in the macroeconomic sense of things, these lower ones are going to be harder to make work, right? This is also a question that I had. I had planned a new launch, so somebody that came up with was planning on launching a new product, asking whether they should postpone. It really depends on the industry. Some industries might actually have a window now to launch certain brands. I think, for example, if you were a cooking brand or something like that, where people use your stuff in house to cook and to create new dishes, it might be an opportunity to kind of like find an angle to launch your product. But if it's not, if for example you're selling, I don't know what's a good example, car tires or something. People are driving less, although maybe they're now thinking about replacing the car. Anyway, like stuff that doesn't make sense right now. Look at your another thing is you can look at your competition. Are your competitors still spending? So easiest thing to do that is just to do Google search and see if their ads still pop up. There are risks involved, because if your competitor doesn't know what you're doing, you might end up like copying something that doesn't work. But usually when they're a bigger company, they're gonna know if it still makes sense for them or not. You can also, for example, check if they're spending money on Facebook. You can do that by going to their page and then looking through, I don't know the exact name of the reports, but it's kind of like transparency report or something. And that will actually show you all of the ads that a brand is currently running. So it might give you some ideas into how they are messaging right now, or the kind of approach they are taking. So maybe that can inform your idea. Yes, and second, if it turns out that it's not going well, get your preparations. Do everything that you can before. Right, that includes website building, integrating all of the tools, getting all of the apps and stuff configured, the design working, doing keyword research. Whether you're doing shopping or search campaigns, doing keyword research can really help. Doing your campaign setup, like you can set up all of your campaigns with the keyword research and stuff, and just put things on hold to go live when you deem appropriate. And you can also do some user testing. This is something that actually popped up during during the preparation of this talk. More people are at home, so there's more people on these user testing services. More people in your target audience that are in these user testing services. So running through a user test with your newly created website can really help to make sure it's in top shape when you start running traffic. Yeah, so there's a question from Scott. In the spreadsheet, is the top part supposed to be the total business stats from analytics, and the Google ads are a subset of the total? Yeah, so my idea with that, maybe I didn't explain it correctly. Let me go back to the... Yeah, so my idea is always to have like the overall thing first, that you kind of get a feeling for the overall trend, because sometimes only looking at Google Analytics, I've made this mistake in the past, where I'm really focused and suddenly, let's say conversion rate has tanked in Google Analytics, for Google Ads, and I'm trying to come up with reasons why this might be happening. But then when I took a step back and actually looked at the total number of sessions for brands that have like a good spread between, let's say, organic and Google Ads, and we see the total conversion rate actually going down, also for organic. So it's kind of taking a look at both things, having a look at the total, and then having a look at Google Ads specifically can give you some direction. Yeah, so you could repeat this if you have other strong channels for other channels below this. Yeah, it's some work to set up, but I think especially if you do this monthly or this weekly overview, it won't take that much time to at the start of the week just fill in the numbers, and it will give you some ideas of how you are trending compared to a month ago or a year ago or something. Especially like here for this advertiser, things are going well, so it's kind of less less important to get it 100% right. Like it's clear that they're making money, but for others, like if the reverse trend is true and you're losing money, it might make sense to really look at it week over week to make sure that you're saving money where you can and spending money where you should. Yeah, so I have one last question here. So if you have any other questions, put them in the chat. Otherwise, I'm gonna cover this one, and then we are done. So yeah, what's up with the Google Ads small medium business credits? So Google actually announced, they did this after Facebook announced their scheme, that they would give out 340 million in ad credits to small and medium businesses. So far there's been two requirements for that. People have, or advertisers should have been actively advertising since January 2019. So these are our customers that's been around for a while. And they need to comply with the Google terms and conditions. I don't know what this is, but I've got a vague feeling that this actually, that with this by putting this in, they can kind of like circumvent certain industries that might be really good customers of theirs. But yeah, but for the rest, like they've been very light on details, and these credits need to be spent before the 31st of December of this year. But as I said, that's the only details that we've had so far. So I think in the coming months you should see this applied, and when I know more with the if there's any strings attached to these credits, you'll be the first to know. Yeah, as I said, still very light on the detail. So if there's no extra questions, I want to invite you to do the following. Visit the website that I shared a couple of times in the chat already. Have a look, download the worksheet, have a look at the different stats that are there. I found it really interesting to go through it and see what's trending up, trending down. There's a list there of the top 100 categories, top rising and the top declining categories. So I found that sheet very interesting, although maybe not that actionable. And third, I want to invite you to leave a comment with your number one takeaway from being on this call. Yeah, and doing like that. Another question from Scott. Does this automatically get added to the account, or do you have something to claim it? Yeah, I don't know. Like what Google has said right now is that they would have a notification pop up in the account. So I don't think they will make it automatically. They will have you jump through some hoops because it's money they would lose otherwise. So probably it's like a form or something that you will have to fill in. Maybe it's related to the ads, to the ad spend that you've had in the past, and maybe it's a percentage based on that. That's like my guess. But if I hear more, I'll for sure communicate more. Okay, so we are running up to 1 hour. I hope this was helpful. If you did find it helpful, make sure to go to the article or the page related to this call and drop a comment, or wherever you see this, you can also leave a comment. Thanks for taking the time for going through with this, and I hope it has helped you to deal with the situation in a bit better way. So signing off right now. Have a nice rest of the day.